I have been watching different people on YouTube paint their hardware cloth black, thinking that it can't possibly make as big of a difference as they're saying it is, but it's actually pretty incredible. So here's what it looks like not painted, and here's what it looks like painted. It is essentially see-through. So it's super easy. Would have been easier if I had been able to do it before putting this front side on, but that really doesn't matter that much. I don't have to be super careful around the inside because I'm still going to paint that white. But basically, I'm using this Rust-Oleum flat black, and yeah, I mean it's really going to make quite the difference once these run sides are up. Again, side by side, it looks great. So definitely worth it. It'll be interesting to see how long it lasts. And obviously this is on one side, so I'll be curious to see what the other side looks like. But all in all, this is definitely seems to be a worthwhile little painting project. Can really see the difference of the hardware cloth from a distance, where I did the top and that one portion of the bottom. Really makes a nice big difference. Here's the completed one. You almost can't tell that there's hardware cloth in there. So I'm sure once we stand it up, I will have to touch up the other side. But on this one laying here, this is actually the one that's going to be on the exterior. This one will be the interior. So definitely have to touch up the outside of that one. I'll do that one first because I don't have a ton of paint left once I'm done with this one. And then I'm not going to lose sleep over the inside if it's totally done. Of course, I'll also have the front wall, so I may end up having to buy another one of these, but totally worth it. The goats have pretty much been putting themselves to bed around sunset. You can see we're pretty close to sunset here this evening, although tonight they're out and about. Still, I think they're caught on that I come to put them to sleep with cookies. So at least I'm bribing them to like me, because now they greet me at the door. So I'm going to put them to bed for the night so they're safe from the coyotes. Jealous much? Huh? Hi. Are you ready for night-night? Yeah? Are you ready for night-night? All right, let me in. I'll come give you cookies. So my hay feeder is not quite done. And as I suspected, the guys are so little that they go inside the hay feeder. But this seems to be working for the moment because it's keeping at least their hay contained. So we finally got around to continuing with the coop, only to discover that we had made an error. Not entirely our fault, because nowhere in the directions did it say that it wanted us to join the 4x4s of the foundation in a very special way. It basically is shown in one picture, very, very small, but it's not described anywhere, it's not addressed, it's whatever. So we discovered it when we were trying to stand up the side of the run. So Chris came up with a good idea. Whoops. Wait, I was trying to turn it around and watch you, but you're behind me. To put a 4x4 and a 2x4 to fill the gap that was created by that misinformation.
All right, well, after way longer than it should have taken and a bunch of colorful language, we got one side of the run up and attached. Things aren't quite straight and plumb, so took a little bit of doing and looking for tools, but it's up. But now over here, it looks like this. It's way darker in person than it is on the camera. And it's starting to rain, so had to pack up and go inside till this passes over before we can try to put up the other side. Also, we need to cut a little notch out of the roof sheeting for this side, and I can't find my jigsaw, so that's also in the way. So while it's raining, I'm going to look for that.
Back for take 2. It is the same day, but the storm made the temperature drop precipitously. And now we're thinking that a second storm is coming. So we're going to try to get this other wall up before the second storm. And I'm looking at my battery, seeing that it's super low. So maybe we'll capture it all, maybe we won't. Okay, we've got 2 sides of the run up. Have them supported here a little bit because the wind is coming from the opposite direction than it normally does. But we ended up using these really large screws to connect the pieces together because, again, that was another part of the directions that were sorely lacking with how to do it. We're going to assume they toenailed, and we hate toenailing, so we use these big screws instead. So a couple of issues that we have to adjust for. So as I had talked about the foundation before, and we also have a little bit of a gap here. So have to come up with something, and I don't know what that is yet, but think about what we're going to do here to get that gap filled in. But I've started to paint here, got the coop mostly painted. I ended up getting a sprayer, mostly so that I could get the inside here. Didn't do any of that, but what I did do yesterday in preparation of getting these runs in is I wanted to get the eaves painted before we put the runs in. So I used my sprayer for that, but it'll certainly come in handy to do all these spots that I originally was starting to do by hand. But boy, that was a pain. So tomorrow, what we hope to accomplish, if the weather doesn't impede our progress, is to get the front in. The front will have a door that goes here in the middle. I'm not going to build the door just yet, but we'll get at least the frame up. And then we'll work on the inside of the coop so that when Chris is in Pennsylvania next week, I can get the inside of the coop pretty much finished so that when he gets back, we can build the roof of the run. Progress. We made great progress today. We got the end of the run built and assembled and in place and secured. And the next step, so the doors are last for some reason, but the next step is to be putting the roof on. So that seems to be quite an endeavor because it's 16 feet long. So that's what's next. In the meantime, we also got the coop insulated today. So we put a layer of foam insulation, which you can see here, foam insulation first, and then the OSB. So not only does it provide insulation, but it also is a much more finished look. So now that everything is in place, I'm gonna have to tape up these windows on the inside, but then I can use my new spray gun and just paint everything white except the floor. We have linoleum to go on the floor, but can't do that. That's probably the second to last step, or maybe that's last after the doors. Got to get the nesting boxes built. So made a little bit of a modification from the plans. Basically because, at least temporarily, there's going to be minimal numbers of chickens in here. I think this can hold, I think they said 12 to 15. And I hope to one day get there, but we're not going to have that this year. But even when we do, chickens have the tendency to use only one or two nesting boxes. So rather than this whole length of this coop being a nesting box, I'm going to make 3 nesting boxes here where it's open. And then I'm going to make a little storage container there. So that's one project that I hope to accomplish while Chris is gone, in addition to the painting. Then I have to build doors for these windows. I have the hardware cloth cut already that will go on the inside once I paint, but then I need doors to close, obviously, in the winter, and when it's a little too chilly. So, but very happy this was exactly as far as I had hoped we would get, so that I can really focus on the painting and some of the smaller projects while Chris is gone next week, and then we can work on the roof together. Did you have fun today, Chris?
Other than the lots of biting flies and constantly smacking my head off of the doorways and eaves and this chicken coop that was built for hobbits, designed for hobbits.
Yeah, the doors are very short, which is kind of strange, but I mean, obviously people aren't spending much time in this coop except to clean. And in the winter, I'm going to use deep litter method, so then it doesn't even need cleaned all that much. But yeah, so yeah, great progress. Yeah, yes. So just got home after a long day at work and meeting Chris for dinner. And he had told me earlier that we were getting a hailstorm and he was worried about the goats. They did greet me when I came home, so they hid out in their house. I'm going to go have to check out to see how much water got inside. But unfortunately, every single plant and flower that I have been painstakingly taking care of this spring and summer has been destroyed, with the exception of these by my chicken coop. So these flowers and my chickens, or roosters, I should say, seemed to have made out okay. But that's really about it. Really, really depressing. Because while my garden was certainly nothing to be proud of or excited about this year, I did have this one tomato plant that had lots of good growth and had a number of tomatoes, but you can see that it has been completely destroyed. There are still a couple of little tomatoes hanging on there, but my pepper plants that yesterday were nice and full and had multiple buds of peppers, totally destroyed. This tomato plant also was in pretty good shape. While this one was not really in good shape, it was certainly better than the stick that it currently is, and the same with that one. And there's absolutely nothing left of the pumpkin plant. All these weeds, of course, survived, but probably the most depressing is my flowers. Yesterday I used Miracle Grow, and this entire bed was full of sweet peas in bloom, zinnias, and petunias, and basically it's just carnage now. All of this snow is from the hail. This plant had 5 or 6 big, robust pink flowers on it yesterday. This had multiple flowers. This used to be pansies. My daylilies seem to be somewhat okay. This plant was beautiful pink flowers. Now it's pretty much sticks. Even this one on the porch totally got destroyed. This is very, very sad because I spent so much time this spring and summer. Daisies and this catmint. The lavender even got pretty annihilated. This one daisy, again, down to sticks. My peony bush, which was not doing too well to begin with, is now sticks. This had 3 or 4 stalks that are ruined. But probably the most sad one was my prettiest one. This was pretty, but this yesterday was overflowing with pink and purple and white petunias. It was spectacular just 24 hours ago. And actually over the weekend, I thought I should really take some pictures of my flowers, but wanted to get one last bit of Miracle Grow on them to get them a little bit healthier, and now they're done. But count my blessings. The doghouse is still intact, chicken coop still intact, and my goats are not going to be super happy with me tonight because I am currently locked out of the house. We have no power, and for some reason I don't have a house key. So Chris is on his way from Cheyenne to let me into the house. And in the meantime, I'm just kind of wandering around and seeing what kind of damage this midsummer hailstorm created. Goats are not going to be happy because I do not have any animal crackers to offer them. But at least they're okay. I know. Did you have a storm while we weren't here? All right, I'm going to go in the house and see how dry it stayed for them. Here's my current pile of straw and hay with alfalfa. I wanted more of these small bales because the goats eat about 1 flake a day, and a flake is, heard me talking about it, is one of these little squares that can be pulled off. And it's very manageable, easy to pull off and feed them. But the guy that I bought them from was out of the little ones, which is how we ended up with this ginormous one. I wanted to get some before Chris goes out of town for a week and a half because I know that I'll be out of this size. But now I have to try to make room in the shed to put that enormous bale to see how long it will last us. Hopefully it'll last a decent amount of time. until he gets some more of the small bales, because small bales are super easy to store here in our little shed. But now I got to make room to try to get that big one in here. All right, well, it's in. And we can still get to the shingles when we're ready to repair the roof of this thing. And I can still get to the straw and the open hay. And if I need to, I can hop over and get to anything else in here. I did try to pull out anything that we might need in the interim, but my main concern was this is a heck of a lot of hay. And so I wanted it to stay dry. To circle the date on the calendar to see how long this will feed my two buddies over there and their two girlfriends that'll come home in about a month. So, time will tell.